Book Impressions, Middle England by Jonathan Coe, Part 7. I think one of the things I'm taking away from this book is the immense antagonism that Britain went through after Brexit. So before Brexit, it was a debate and people were kind of relaxed, very similar to the first Trump election, where people were, a little bit scared, but more or less relaxed because they just didn't think that Trump will ever get elected. And back to Britain, I think the same thing with Brexit. It was a debate, and actually, some of the intellectuals in the Oxford, London, multicultural circles were even maybe welcoming the debate, thinking that, well, look, I mean, we're going to win this anyway. And then this is probably how David Cameron thought about it, the prime minister that launched the whole thing. And then the antagonism afterwards was a lot more than I thought. And that's obviously because I wasn't in Britain. I wasn't part of it. And on top of that, I'm a Eurosceptic. So for me, that was a good thing. I thought it was actually a good decision to leave the EU. But this is not about my opinions about Brexit. I think what I want to talk about here is really, I think, what led to what became COVID and the culture wars that we are in today, because I think I can see this progression. It's anger, it's frustration, and that led to an extreme counter reaction during COVID. Whether COVID was engineered or not, I don't want to go into that conversation. But what definitely happened, the fact is that once COVID hit, once we got masked, once bureaucrats and particularly the medical community saw how much power they can wield on society, all hell broke loose. And the woke mafia, the left-wing fanatics, the extremists on every front just came out of the woodwork. And then the Biden administration was the manifestation in the US, and the rest of the Western world, particularly Europe, is still suffering under this counter-revolution that started with Brexit and Trump won and now is continuing. It's fading now, and Trump too is helping to fade it, although I think his actions in Iran particularly are not helping because he's losing support. And all the people who were idealistically, like including yours truly, idealistically supporting Trump as an anti-woke, anti this post-Brexit Western world doomsday cultural revolution. So this anti-force is fading because Trump is making mistakes. But I think this antagonism that comes across in one of the conversations, in particular between Nigel and Doug, so two characters in the book that are both in the political sphere, and there's definitely an antagonism and sort of and now Coe is. I'm treating Coe as the author here, not as an opinionated author. He's just creating characters, and he's doing a very good job at that. So I'm not. I don't know what he thinks, but the characters that he's creating in Nigel and Doug are definitely showing a sort of indifference and a fear and and also a sense of helplessness and anger and rising anger towards the situation that Britain was in after Brexit. And I think that led to this counter-revolution that became what we now call the woke years during the pandemic, and even today's antagonism, particularly in the Western world, in Europe and also in Australia, Canada, New Zealand. So pretty much the whole Western world, other than America. And in America, of course, we have extreme movements also, let's say in the cities. We have a really extremist left-wing, I would say communist Bolshevik type mayor in New York. We have a pretty useless, I would say, anarchist in LA, and I don't know what's going on in Chicago. So the three biggest cities in the US are pretty much lost to law and order and any kind of Western value system. So we're not out over the hump here at all. And like I said, Trump was the hope to save the Western world. He's now making big mistakes with Iran, so that's not a good situation. But the point of this episode is we're still in the book impression phase of Middle England, and I think it's really well done by Jonathan Coe how he shows this anger that boiled up after the Brexit decision. Thank you.